Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for the new moon in October. We're going to have two full moons, and this is the lone new moon, and it's occurring on October 16th, 3:31 p.m. Eastern, but of course, as always, times are going to vary. I'm Vickie Verlie, the Rock and Roll Prophetess. This is the new moon chart for in Libra. I do psychic astrology, psychic tarot, have been for 30 years, and I do some channeling. If you want to find out more about me, there's links above and below. This is definitely a psychic reading, so if you are very by-the-book astrologer, this may not be the reading for you because I do color outside the lines quite a bit. If you are somebody who's looking at this and thinking, boy, this is just too much astrology, I don't understand this, hang in there because it does get more and more psychic as we roll through here. Alright, so let's take a look. Here's the new moon at 23 degrees of Libra. The sun and the moon are joined. And it's directly opposing, there's actually a big T-square going on. It's opposing the Mars-Lilith conjunction. And it's squaring the stuff up here in Capricorn, which is Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and to some extent Pallas. So there's a big T-square going on. And T-squares usually do, bring about friction. That's what it's, but we need T-squares, we need squares in order to make things happen. These are the aspects that make things happen, that bring about change, that bring about revolution is what I'm hearing. I'm going to change glasses here real quick. So it's all, this is cardinal energy too. And then we have a mutable thing going on too. See, okay, let's look at the mutable real quick. I'm going to go into it in more detail, but we have a Neptune opposed Venus, square the nodes. We have a grand cross in the mutable signs. So that's also very powerful, and I feel like it's really the prevailing energy is the grand cross in the mutable signs. And Libra, although a cardinal sign, somewhat can be like a mutable, in the way that mutables don't like to, they're not really starting a fight or being stubborn or trying to cause trouble or argumentative. They're kind of, go with the flow. They're facilitators. It's a more mellow energy, and I think that the Libra is a mellow energy too. So I think that there's definitely a feel of this mellow energy that's trying to come through at this time. And as with everything, we've always got to use the energy. It's not, that's why, nothing is set in stone. No astrological definitions are set in stone either. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's always, it is what it is, and then it's how we use the energy. So as a new moon vibration, we're wanting to create new things. We're wanting to initiate, bring in new vibrations, and this is going to be a good time to bring in, well, let's just forget about everything and just let's look at the Libra vibration. The Libra is balance, wants harmony, balance. It's cooperation, excuse me, cooperation. It's the 7th house of friendships and partnership, working in partnership together. It wants the scales to be balanced. It wants things even out. And these other mutable energies could absolutely facilitate that. This could be, a very much coming into a nicer, kinder, just gentler even vibration. If we allow it, if we covet it, if we focus our attention on it and focus our energy on it, this would be the way to go. Of course, yes, is there other stuff that could be negative? Sure. But again, the idea with the Libra is to bring it in as a positive thing. So let's look at this. It's this T-square. We've got the Mars-Lilith, both very dominant energies, Mars and Lilith, both very potentially aggressive energies in the sign of Aries. The warrior spirit, also aggressive, dominating, wants what it wants it now. Squaring up with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. This is still a carryover. This Saturn-Pluto, this is how we kicked off the year. We kicked off the year with that big eclipse and the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and Pluto was at 22 degrees at that point too. And I just finished up all those year ahead reading. I mean, not the year ahead, excuse me, the equinox readings. And, I told pretty much everybody, this is a theme. What's going on now is a recollection or there's a connection potentially to the very beginning of the year, or the first couple of weeks of the year, when we have the first of the Saturn-Pluto conjunctions in Capricorn, and that eclipse really highlighted it now. So now we have it again, and we've got some other things. We have the ingress, and then this Libra new moon. So we've got this Libra energy, you know, kind of highlighting it now. So the Libra wants to bring about the resolution. For many people, this could be stuff that started all the way back then. How did your year kick off? What happened in those first couple of weeks of 2020? This is a revisiting, a resolution with the Libra energy is the strongest. It really is. Libra wants a fair and just, you know, resolution to everything to be in balance and to be worked out. You know, it really wants it to be worked out. So there's that opportunity for that, to make it, to work it out. We can work it out. Life is very short. If you've never seen my videos, I do tend to break into song occasionally. That's actually my guides coming through, and you know, that's just the way I roll. So it may happen. Often there could be messages into songs too. But now, this Mars Lilith squaring this. This is also potentially volatile. You know, this is, we're going to take it to the streets. We're going to fight for our rights. We want to, you know, this energy wants to go about things in maybe a more aggressive or assertive. But assertive can turn to aggressive. It's a fine line between assertive and aggressive at some point, you know, sometimes. And that's with the square to this, that could absolutely be, because it's, this is, I'm seeing like a fuse being lit. That's what they're showing me, like on those old cartoons, where the coyote would light the fuse of a dynamite, you know, that's what I'm seeing. And people could be on a short fuse, and there could be some sort of fuse being, so there's fuse and then there's diffuse. And the mutable energy in the Libra could be used to diffuse a situation, disarm, diffuse. This might be a call to arms, taking up arms, and then we want to disarm. And how are we going to disarm it? Well, there's a strong, the thing that's holding down, well, we've got this Venus-Neptune. It's an opposition, which again, a lot of people might say, well, that's negative. An opposition, that's negative. No, not necessarily. It's calling it into balance, and it's in the mutable signs. And Neptune is very powerful in its own sign of Pisces. But it's also that Pisces, Neptune, 12th house energy, all very similar, is, it's often subtle. It's often in waves. It's not necessarily, right now, we want action now, things are happening now. It's a slower movement. It's an overall flow of, it encompasses a lot more, you know. It encompasses a lot more. This is just, I want this now, single-minded, this and that. This is bigger. This is the wave of consciousness. This is the wave of the collective consciousness, or the collective unconscious. So there's a shift. It's a facilitation of a shift, and it also, I think of Neptune as very calm, although, you know, Neptune, there's, in mythology, of course, does cause big floods and stuff like that, but overall, its flow, it's calm, and it's interacting with Venus in a really strong way, and the Venus energy, of course, is love, you know. And Venus in Virgo is like the caretaker, I would say. You know, I would put that as the caretaker. The person, very attentive, very aware of someone else's needs, attentive, loving, caring. So this is going on. This is bringing that Neptune, they're engaging together to try to create an overall calm, an overall wave. The wave of change is upon us, is what I'm hearing, yeah. And that is true. But it's the way it's being shown to me, it's more like, or even, you know, the sound, I'm hearing the sounds, like shh. And what do we, you know, people get those sound machines and listen to the sound of that watery shh, you know. to go to sleep, to sink into peace, to release the stress and anxiety, to access the subconscious mind, even through, meditation, or as you're drifting off to sleep in those tween signs. So that's more the vibe. Maybe that's more the vibe that I'm attuned to. Hopefully it is. That's certainly what I'm striving for. But I think that, that we all should try to attune to that vibe. Now, it's squaring with these nodes, and these nodes, the North Node in Gemini is where we want to go. We want to communicate, speak, choose our words, connect our soul with our words from a deeper place. We want to, speak kind words. We want the words to be kind. We don't want to be, aggressive and warlike. We've been in this aggressive and warlike vibe for a long time. There's been these major planets in Capricorn, the Pluto, Saturn and stuff, and it's been squaring up with Aries stuff. It was squaring up with Uranus for a long time. And that's when a lot of this, upheaval has started, over the last few years here. Well, I guess there's always upheaval going on, but it's definitely been more intense over the last few years, and the contention and everything. This feels like definitely like a window's being open and a breath of fresh air is coming in. And the sea breeze, the breeze, I could smell the water, the energy of the water, like that good, in a good way, that good smell when you're at the beach or whatever, and like smell, that's like a sense, it's our senses, and it's a more subtle sense, Most of us, when you say something doesn't quite smell right, or, I sniff it out, or, all the metaphors that we used in correlation with our sense of smell are always on the vibe of it's sort of hidden, we got to sniff it out, something just didn't smell right, I couldn't put my finger on it, but it just didn't smell right, or so it's not one of the senses that is right out there, like, hearing and sight. So it's these subtle things. It's these subtle things where you need to open that window and breathe and smell out the subtle things. Now, going towards the Gemini, it's our mental mind, it's the way we communicate, but it's also our mental mind. Sometimes we all get caught in our mental mind. That's a big trap. And imagining what if, the worst, different things. And I feel like this is going to allow that subtler energy. And because Neptune has also been getting a big boost from Jupiter here. It's really been getting a big boost from Jupiter, and vice versa. These two have been locked in together for a little while here. Jupiter at 19 degrees of Capricorn, sextiling Neptune at 18 degrees of Pisces. So they've been locked in here together for quite some time, and they're helping each other in a sextile, which is harmonious. And water and earth, and water feeds earth, So at its best, it would be allowing us to become more compassionate, more in tune with not necessarily what's right out there. Many people during the quarantine, because Capricorn 10th house, typically is what we focus on as our career. We're very career oriented, and now we're kind of staying home, or this is being altered, and there's definitely a shift and change in the energy and vibration about what we focus on, and also the interpretation of the 10th house. That's been coming through for me a lot lately. 10th house is career. If you have to go through in one keyword for each house, or career, Capricorn 10th house, career, pretty much end of story. But the 10th house truly is what we aspire to, and since our society is so driven towards aspiring towards, success and career in the outward world, that's what the 10th house has taken on and become in our collective meanings here. But it's really what we aspire to, and our highest aspirations. So our highest aspirations don't necessarily have to be tied into having a big career or a big successful career. It has other things that are being shown to us. They're being shown to us all the time, but the world is so loud that we can't hear it. So as the world is quieting down, to some extent, I mean, there's some portions are still really loud, but for the most part, it's quieting down, and we've taken a pause for the cause, and we're realizing, getting our priorities, changing our priorities, reevaluating our priorities and what we value and what we strive for, what we're really striving for. Another thing that's going on at this time is, speaking of Mercury, which is the ruler of Gemini, for those of you who are not following why I bring it up, third house Gemini Mercury, but I bring it up also because it's in opposition to Uranus. And there's Palaces in there too. So Pallas and Uranus, they're both like flashes of brilliance, flashes of genius, reinventing ourselves. And in this flat wheel, which is just a flat wheel because it's 0 Aries on the cusp and all this, it rules the 2nd and 8th house. These are money houses. So many of us are reevaluating not only maybe what we do for a living, many people are going through, what would make me more happy? How would I be more fulfilled? Not necessarily more successful, but how would I be more fulfilled? And realizing, like, being in the rat race was, detrimental to them in a lot of ways. Maybe in your health, but just in your soul, So many people are withdrawing from maybe forcibly withdrawn from the rat race. But these insights are coming. These insights are coming, and they could reach. The insights are always flying around up in the ethers. The universe is always broadcasting. I think that might have been my first video I ever did on YouTube. The universe is always broadcasting, and we have to grab it. But it's not easy to grab when we're busy. When we're always busy doing this and that. So this is a time when those flashes could really come to us. It not only flashes in our mental mind, it could be news. For many, it could be news, It could be news of an opportunity. With Uranus, it could be really a big change of pace, It could be a completely different thing that you never did. No matter what your age, you might be, starting over and doing something completely different that you've never done. Completely outside of the box and outside of the realm of your normal, or what's been your normal, or your, not normal, I guess normal is the right word, but it's not the word I'm trying to find. But what you've been striving for all these years could take a turn. Could take a turn for, for the better. It could take a turn anyway. I mean, when we get stuck in blame is a real bad one, I've got that song that we got to find somebody to blame because it sure ain't my fault. It's one of my tunes. I have it up on YouTube if you want to check it out on my other channel, VV Creative. But that's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time trying to find somebody to blame and focusing on, I got screwed over, I've totally got caught up in that. That stuff still creeps in, but then I catch myself. And it's just like, okay, this is where we find ourselves. So what's the plan, man? What's the plan? The plan should include going with this flow, this Neptune energy. The plan should include, don't be limited in the plan, because Uranus is unlimited. Uranus is, blame and excuses are kind of in the same realm. Well, I can't do that because this, and this. Well, then, so be it. Uranus is bringing, there's some major opportunities for big lifestyle changes, and in how we handle money, what we do for money, because it's in the sign of Taurus. It's going to be in there for a little while, several years, I think. So it's like, what do we do for money? What do we value? Where are our values at? It's going to tie up a lot of that. And, everybody's like, okay, well, Uranus and Taurus, it's going to be cryptocurrency. Well, yeah, could be. Probably there's going to be an element of that. but also it's just on an individual basis, because Taurus is going to bring it down to earth here. I think many people are just like, you know what? I remember when my mom, actually, she had cancer, and she was working in the bar. This just popped into my head. And she was sitting there one day, she's going, looking around, and she's just like, you know, if this is my last days on earth, I don't want to be sitting in this shithole, I think she probably said, or something like that. But, you know, what are we striving for? Is it really in line with our highest goals and desires, our highest aspiration, our highest soul mission, or whatever, you know? So that's everybody. A lot of people are reevaluating that, and maybe everybody should take a look at that and where we place our values. You know, what do we value? What is our highest aspiration or our highest values? Is it being, you know, having this big career, or is it, you know, well, what is it? It's going to be different for everybody. That's one thing for sure that the guides have repeated over and over again. You know, we don't all have to go in the same direction as far as, you know, everybody has a part to play in this game of life here, this big play that we're all involved in. Yeah, I was going to look at the aspectarian. All I see is squares, 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 oppositions, oppositions. So again, if you were by the book Astrologer, you'd look at this and say, oh my gosh, this looks like a big mess. But it's not. It doesn't have to be. It's all how we utilize the energy. So as the Libra season, as we're into the Libra season, this is actually, you know, we're ending the Libra season. But it's the new moon in Libra, you know, it's a time to bring in the peace. It's a time to bring in the balance, the harmony, the good vibes. You know, these are the kind of things that we want to bring in and put our attention, our energy toward on the new moon in Libra. Okay? All right. So I think that's about it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, all my regular subscribers and new people as well, if you'd like to subscribe. There's a link on the bottom right over here. I'm not offering any special readings at this time, but I do have the only astrology I would have would be the soul reading, which is like looks at your soul path through the astrology chart. I also, you know, my book is out. My first book, I'm well into the second one. It's channeled information from higher dimensional beings called Transmissions for Humanity. You can find links to that and everything else below. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing and sharing my videos. Remember that you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great new moon in Libra, and I'll speak to you soon.